prices. When photographers saw brides asking for editorial-style shoots, they added an extra zero to their invoices. When florists realized someone would pay $5,000 for roses suspended from the ceiling, boom, it became the new normal. And that's how we got here. A wedding economy inflated by people chasing perfection, a perfection that doesn't even exist. Let's talk about the infamous wedding tax. You've probably heard this term before. It's what happens when something costs way more simply because the word wedding is attached to it. You could order a white cake for a birthday and pay $200, but call it a wedding cake, and suddenly it's $800 for the exact same thing. Venues do it. Photographers do it. Makeup artists do it. Because they know people will pay. They know couples are emotionally invested, that they'll justify it with phrases like, "It's a once-in-a-lifetime moment," or "We only get married once." And honestly, it's genius, but it's also predatory. This entire industry thrives on emotional manipulation. It tells people, this is the most important day of your life. Don't you want it to be perfect? But perfect comes with a price tag. It's not just big weddings either. Even elopements and micro-weddings are getting commercialized. You can't just go to a park and say, "I do." Now it has to be an aesthetic, with styled picnics, professional photographers, and drone footage of the kiss. We've monetized love down to the smallest detail. And it's not just about money, it's about validation. So many people are planning their weddings for the internet. They're not thinking, what would make us happy? They're thinking, what will look best on camera? Social media has completely rewired our sense of what a wedding even is. You can't just have a nice ceremony anymore. You need the wow factor, the decor, the dresses, the food, the entertainment. You need it to be shareable, likable, and comment-worthy. And the pressure is massive. Couples compare themselves to influencer weddings that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, forgetting that those influencers probably had sponsors and gifted services. But regular people? They're footing that bill themselves. And the wildest part? Many of them don't regret it, at least not right away. Because the dopamine hit of validation is real. The "you look stunning," "your wedding was goals," "that video made me cry" comments, they feel amazing. Until the bills come due. Here's the part people don't talk about enough: the emotional toll. Planning a wedding in today's culture isn't joyful, it's stressful. Every choice feels like a test. Every decision feels judged. Is the dress trendy enough? Is the theme original? Are your guests impressed? And because everything's so public now, it's not just your friends and family watching, it's the entire internet. I've seen brides cry on TikTok because their weddings didn't look expensive enough. I've seen grooms get roasted for proposing with small rings. I've seen comment sections debating guests and decor choices like it's a sport. It's exhausting. What was once a celebration of commitment has become a competition for approval. And the irony is, the more we spend, the less it feels personal. A wedding used to be about you, your story, your family, your love. But now, it's about trends, about recreating viral Pinterest photos or copying influencer aesthetics. Everything starts looking the same color palettes, the same calligraphy, the same champagne walls. It's not individuality, it's choreography. And that makes me sad. Because the beauty of a wedding isn't in the flowers or the dress or the catering. It's in the emotion, the vows, the laughter, the people who show up for you. But the current culture has made that feel secondary. People spend months obsessing over aesthetics and barely think about the marriage that comes after. And that's the irony. We're more than ever celebrating something we're paying less emotional attention to. So, let's break down how wedding prices got this high. It's simple economics. When consumers are willing to pay inflated prices, businesses adjust to that new standard. A few couples pay $10,000 for photography, suddenly everyone charges that. A few couples spend $5,000 on florals, now it's the average. Over time, the baseline moves up, and now you can't even find simple options because the industry assumes no one wants them. It's the same logic behind luxury goods. Exclusivity sells. And the wedding industry knows exactly how to sell it. They use emotional language. You deserve this. It's your moment. Don't settle for less. It's marketing genius, but it traps couples into thinking that love needs luxury to be valid. The result? People working extra jobs, draining savings, and delaying other life goals just to fund a single day. And when they do, they reinforce the cycle. Vendors see demand, raise prices, and the next wave of couples has to spend even more. It's a feedback loop of financial and emotional exhaustion, and we're all caught in it. You've probably noticed it too. Weddings aren't just weddings anymore. They're content. Every moment is filmed, edited, and uploaded, sometimes before the reception even ends. You see brides holding microphones, introducing their own weddings like vloggers. You see grooms doing choreographed entrances for TikTok. You see entire bridal parties rehearsing transitions for Instagram Reels. And look, there's nothing wrong with wanting to capture the memories are beautiful, but we've crossed a line. Because now, weddings are being staged for the internet before they even happen. There are content planners, social media coordinators, even wedding TikTok strategists who help couples create viral moments. I'm not kidding, people are literally designing weddings with views in mind. We're seeing trends like the wedding reveal, where brides film their guests' reactions to the decor. Or the first look clip, which, by the way, sometimes gets filmed 5 times to make sure it looks emotional enough. And all of this turns what should be one of the most genuine moments of someone's life into performance art. Once the camera's on, people act differently. Couples feel pressure to react a certain way, to look perfect, to cry at the right moment. And when that happens, the authenticity fades. And here's the thing, it's not just TikTokers and influencers. Regular people are doing it too. They're paying thousands for cinematic wedding films that look like Hollywood trailers. And sure, they're gorgeous, but they also reinforce the expectation that everyone should have that level of production. The bar keeps rising, and so do the costs. And that brings us back to the heart of the issue. We're feeding a system that profits off insecurity and comparison. People don't want to be outdone, so they overcompensate. They want their wedding to be different, better, more memorable. But in chasing that, they end up spending more and feeling less satisfied. Because after the music fades, after the photos are posted, you're left with the debt, the exhaustion, and a nagging question. Was it worth it? Let's be honest. Influencer culture poured gasoline on this fire. Every week, there's another viral influencer wedding. Lavish venues, designer gowns, multiple ceremonies, guests in couture, drone shots from tropical islands. And for them, it's a brand extension, a content opportunity. Sponsors cover costs. Brands collaborate. Everything is monetized. But when people sit, they compare. They think that's what a wedding should look like. So they spend money they don't have trying to recreate something that wasn't even paid for by the couple. We're talking custom Dior gowns, imported roses, 5-course menus, champagne towers taller than the groom. And while it looks magical on screen, what viewers don't see are the teams, the contracts, the production crews. It's not a wedding, it's a film set. But perception is powerful. And perception drives demand. The industry thrives on envy, on selling the dream that your love isn't valid unless it looks cinematic. Then there's TikTok, where weddings have practically become their own genre. You've seen them. POV. I'm the bride who spent $80,000 on florals. What our $200,000 wedding looked like, how I turned my backyard into a luxury resort. And the comments? Always the same. Wow, goals. Manifesting this for myself. I keep for my it's operation, and that's how the cycle keeps spinning. Because the platform rewards extravagance. The more over the top your wedding is, the more views you get. The more views you get, the more validation. It's a digital applause for luxury. But behind those 15-second clips are couples who may have taken on loans, drained savings, or compromised other parts of their lives, all to get that moment of online approval. There's even a growing trend of wedding regret videos, where newlyweds admit they spent too much trying to impress others. They talk about post-wedding debt, stress, and the realization that half of what they bought didn't even matter. Those videos are the realest thing on the internet right now. because they cut through the illusion and show what the industry doesn't want you to see, the emptiness behind the spectacle. Now, let's talk about what weddings should be. Because somewhere, buried under all the Instagram filters, there's still something sacred about two people standing up and saying, "I choose you." That's what a wedding is supposed to celebrate. Not the price tag, not the venue, not the dress, the love. But the modern wedding machine doesn't profit off love. It profits off insecurity, off fear, off comparison. You don't sell people things they already feel good about. You sell them things that make them feel like they're missing out. That's the psychology behind this entire system. Couples are told that if they don't spend enough, they're being cheap. If their decor isn't extravagant, they're celebrating properly. If their guests aren't wowed, they've somehow failed. And the truth is, none of that is real. Because you know what's actually memorable? The moments money can't buy. It's the vows that make people cry. The nervous laugh before the kiss. The grandma who dances even though she swore she wouldn't. That's what people remember, not the price per plate or the Instagram filter on your first dance.
We need to reclaim that.
We need to start saying no to the wedding tax. No to the pressure. No to the idea that the more of your wedding, the more meaningful your love must be. You can have an incredible wedding on any budget as long as it reflects you. Let's take a second to compare. Back in the 80s and 90s, weddings were simple but special. People focused on family, food, and fun. The dress might have been secondhand, the cake homemade, the reception in a backyard. And yet, those memories lasted decades. Now, couples spend the equivalent of a college tuition on a single day, and half of them admit later they did it for the photos. With aesthetics. But it doesn't have to be that way. There's actually a quiet rebellion happening right now. Couples choosing small, personal weddings over grand productions. Eloping in the mountains. Saying vows with just a few loved ones. Skipping the pressure, the debt, and the expectations. And those videos? They might not go viral, but they feel real. They remind people what weddings are supposed to mean. And here's the hard truth. Weddings are getting more expensive not just because vendors raise prices, but because people pay them. Every time someone agrees to an outrageous quote, it reinforces the idea that that's what love is worth. The more couples stretch their budgets to meet these standards, the more those standards rise. It's not just inflation, it's cultural inflation. And that's what's really scary. Because if we keep going down this road, weddings will become completely inaccessible to the average couple. Already, many people are choosing not to marry at all, not because they don't believe in love, but because they can't afford the spectacle. And that's tragic. Marriage shouldn't be a luxury item. So, where do we go from here? We start by redefining what a wedding is. It doesn't have to be a performance. It doesn't have to impress anyone. It just has to be true. If that means getting married in your backyard, do it. If that means wearing a thrifted dress, own it. If that means inviting 10 people instead of 200, perfect. Because your wedding isn't a reflection of how much money you have. It's a reflection of how much love you share. And no one, no planner, no photographer, no TikTok trend can define that for you. Love is enough. It always was. So yeah, the wedding industry has gotten out of control. It's bloated, it's performative, it's obsessed with optics. But it doesn't have to stay that way. We, as couples, as consumers, as people who still believe in love, we get to change it. We can stop feeding the machine. We can stop equating value with vanity. Because the real flex isn't a $100,000 wedding. It's a lifetime of love, laughter, and partnership that lasts long after the flowers wilt and the photos fade. At the end of the day, your wedding is one chapter, not the whole story. And when you focus on the meaning instead of the marketing, that chapter will be just as beautiful, whether it costs $500 or $50,000. Because what makes a wedding magical isn't how it looks, it's what it means. And that's a wrap, guys. Like if you did, subscribe for more fun.
See ya.